I'm Andrea Donsky, co-founder of Morphus, powered by Naturally Savvy. And today I am here with Firdos Shaikh, and we are going to be cooking up a delicious meal, all based on science. So Firdos, do me a favor, please introduce yourself.
So my name is Firdos Shaikh. I am an expert oncology nurse. I have been doing cooking and oncology research and cancer research for many, many years. I was a successful restaurant owner, and I realized that there is some limits into what people can find out there about the science behind the food and the ingredients and how to improve your health. So here I am with Andrea, and we're going to show you how that works today.
I love it. And we're going to be talking about 4 main ingredients, you said. We're going to be talking about cumin, turmeric, garlic, and capsaicin, right? That's what we're going to focus on. And you're going to talk about the science behind it and why they're good for us. And you're going to be making us a delicious meal. So I'm very excited. All right, Firdos, take it away.
Okay, so we're going to start with, we've got our hot pan over here. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil.
And what are you making for us? What is the meal that we're going to be doing?
Yep. So today we're going to be making a smoked chicken and spinach dish. And it's really beautiful. It's going to have all the ingredients, all the elements that you want to use to help protect your family, keep them healthy, keep them well, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, antioxidant. It's got all the good stuff in it. It's delicious. It's Indian fusion flavors. So we're mixing a little bit of our American styles on trying to get your caramelized chicken and caramelized onions mixed with our Indian fusion flavors. So we're doing a chicken and spinach smoked.
I love it. All right, go for it.
Okay, so we're going to start with olive oil. When your oil is hot, you're going to do 1 chopped onion. It can be red, white, brown onion, whatever you prefer. Go ahead and add that in there. So really what's very, very important that you need to focus on is that the onions are properly caramelized. People don't realize that. So in onions, you want to reach something called a Maillard reaction. And when you reach the Maillard reaction, that is when you know that you're really extracting the proper caramelization and sugars out of the onion to provide a better flavor in your food, but also it has to do with consistency and absorbing the nutrients as well. So a lot of times people are cooking and they don't realize that you need to get to that phase in the onions in order for you to really get that nutritious value as well as the desirable flavor.
So you're saying that caramelizing onions themselves actually have some health benefits to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are those health benefits? Like, so what is it? It brings out, because caramelizing brings out the sweetness of it, right?
That's right. That's right. And then what that does is because what happens a lot in food and people don't realize that, it's kind of like, you go to your favorite restaurant and you're like, oh my God, this was so good. And you come home and you try to make it yourself and you're like, how come it doesn't taste exactly the same? I followed the recipe exactly, and you're like, what did I do different? It's because you're not getting to that Maillard phase in your onions. And that's the basis for almost every ingredient. And really it is for every Indian dish that you'll ever make, I promise you. Any Indian dish, you're going to start with caramelizing onions in the appropriate way.
Okay, so I did not realize that.
Yeah, so people are missing that phase. And that's one of the things I want to teach people, because you don't get those little mini secrets, restaurateur secrets when you're watching, a lot of channels and a lot of cooking shows. They're not explaining to you that little bit of science behind where you get, that right peak of flavor that you really want.
So how long do you have to caramelize them? Like, how long does it take to actually caramelize onions?
So this is it's one of the longer steps in any dish that you make. And a lot of people, what they do, especially Indian people who make Indian food often and stuff, will pre-caramelize like sets of onions and keep them in the refrigerator or in their freezer, like in Ziploc bags. Even I do that too. I'm a professional. I work, I'm an oncology nurse, and to be able to have easy dishes to make for your family every day, still have all the elements and ingredients and health processes that you want, you need to do a little bit of quick stuff. So, just as an example, my onions were pre-chopped and these were frozen. I had them ready. So I just grabbed the little Ziploc bag out and I can cook dinner, every night healthy for my family.
That's a really good tip, actually. So you can pre-caramelize on a Sunday, let's say, when we do a lot of meal prep. You can pre-chop your tomatoes and then just freeze them. And then when you need them, and now can you, I guess you have to let them thaw before you're actually using them in your dish, or can you just cook them from frozen?
Nope. And can I show you real quick? Let me show you what I've got.
Yeah, please.
So as long as you freeze it flat like this, see how thin and flat that is?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So as long as you get your tomatoes chopped up fresh, you don't need to pre-freeze them, and you put them thin like this, then all you have to do is kind of give it a little knock, and it'll just separate a couple of the little cubes that you've chopped up, and then you can toss it and you're ready to go. Because you know what? Most of us are working moms, working professionals. We don't have time to chop tomatoes and onions every single day. So these
That's
are
a
a little
great
bit
tip.
of tips and little fail-safe ways to try to make sure that you're doing, something fresh for your family, but at the same time, being able to prep a little bit ahead of time. That's where you want to be. You want to make sure that you've got it nice and browned like that. So you don't want to have it where it's just sweating onions. So sweating is just when they're a little bit white and a little kind of opaque. You want to really get to that nice dark brown phase. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add our ginger and garlic. And so here comes some of our little science today. So we've got a tablespoon of ginger. We've got a tablespoon of ginger and garlic here. So it's just a paste. It's easy. You just grab, your blender, shove in a little water, and you can put your ginger in there, your garlic in there, just blend it up. So we have got a paste.
So you're
there.
using a ginger paste. So can you use fresh ginger as well?
You can, but you're not going to get, you really want to get it broken down, and it will just increase a lot of the cooking time. So this is kind of like a little bit of a fail-safe to try to get you to where you need to go. So I'm going to add a little teaspoon of olive oil again to help with the to cooking down the ginger and the garlic, and we're going to add that in. So again, a tablespoon each. How is this prepared? It's very easy. Just a little water and your blender, and you're good.
Oh, so you made it yourself. You made the paste yourself.
Yep, I made the paste myself.
Okay. So did you make it using raw ginger? So like you used raw ginger with a little bit of water. Okay, super easy.
Just like we were showing the little quick tip about tomatoes. We do the same thing where we just blend up the garlic and we blend up the ginger. We just put it in little packets. You can shove it in your freezer, and then depending on this amount, it's like basically a half Ziploc bag. It's going to last you a good couple of weeks, and it's pretty shelf stable as long as you add a little bit of olive oil and a little lemon in there. That protects it from getting from spoiling. So it's another quick tip for for our working moms out there. Just blend up the ginger, blend up the garlic, and you've got it ready to go in your freezer. Just take it out and put it in your fridge every so often.
I love that tip.
Okay.
And it's so easy to do, which is great. So whether you store it in a plastic bag or in a glass container, doesn't matter. You're just mixing a little bit of water, a little bit of lemon juice. Is the lemon juice for both the ginger and the garlic for preservation?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Easy.
Yep,
I love it.
Yep,
Okay. So
easy.
now you're taking your tomatoes.
Yep. We're going to take our tomatoes. We're going to add them in there. And I'm going to add just a little bit of water. I try to avoid using too much oil to cook down your food, so water works just fine. People sometimes add more oil as they're going along, but actually they don't realize that water works just fine. So I'm going to add a little bit here, so not much, like 2-3 tablespoons of water, just to help cook down. Now I'm going to go ahead and add all of the spices now. Half teaspoon of red chili, half teaspoon of turmeric, and I'll talk about both of these at the same time. So basically with our garlic, what are we seeing, as a scientific evidence base? Now, remember, all of this comes from nationally renowned websites. It's not from somebody's blog, as a nurse. I only use National Institutes of Health, Centers for Disease Control, the FDA. So, we're just looking at really renowned websites that we use our information, and any of the things that we're sharing today comes from research from there. And most of these research studies were just from last year, so this is not old research. And what we say in science is it should be at least within 5 years. And like I said, the research that we're quoting today is mostly from last year. Another one is just like a year or so older than that, but pretty much within the medically understood time frame of when something is still relevant. Okay, so the garlic that we've got in there, what is that doing for us? And people know, garlic has been studied for a really long time, but, they don't really understand the bioactivity of the garlic. And it has crazy anti-inflammatory properties. It's antibacterial, antifungal. People don't realize it's actually antifungal. I mean, that is such a huge thing, because to fight fungal disease is even hard in our understanding of pharmaceutical medicine. So, the fact that you're getting that in a natural substance, and if you put it in your food every day, you're already prepping your body with those properties. You know what I mean? Before you even get sick or before you get these ailments, you're prepping your body to have that in you and have it, in your cells. So, antifungal, and it protects against, it's anti-cancerous, and it also protects the liver. And a lot of people don't realize that garlic does protect the liver as well.
I have a question regarding the garlic. Now, does the garlic have to be raw in order for it to have all those protective properties?
That's an excellent question, because people don't realize it, but aged garlic actually has a little bit more of that bioavailability properties. So, and to answer your question, if it has to be fresh or whatever, actually, studies have shown that if it's slightly aged, it even has a more intense and potent bioavailability of those the properties that it gives us to support our health.
I love that. We love great.
I don't age my garlic because we don't have that kind of time. As working moms. But it is, and you can buy aged garlic. So if that's that's also an option for
Yeah, Kyolic has aged garlic. So they're an amazing brand that has aged garlic that I actually take every day. So I love that you're even mentioning aged garlic. Okay, so we can cook the garlic. So basically it'll maintain its properties when you're cooking it in food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other ingredient that we added was the red chilies and the turmeric. So I'm going to add the spinach while I start to explain a little bit of those ingredients as well. So here we've got basically 2 bunches of just chopped fresh spinach. And frozen spinach would work fine. One package of frozen spinach would work fine. So there isn't any concern in terms of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a beautiful spinach in right here. So again, it's 2 bunches chopped of fresh spinach, but frozen works just fine. So I'm just going to stir that in. And so let's talk a little bit about the red chili that we added in there, which is the ingredient that we talked about earlier, capsaicin. So capsaicin is coming from red chilies, correct? Or basically any chili, you're getting capsaicin. And what capsaicin does is there's so much research on capsaicin specifically for pain management, arthritis. There's a lot of research on that, but people don't go into the nitty gritty and don't really know about, it's kind of like what's popular is the only thing that you understand and know about ingredients. But research shows that it is, neuroprotective. It is anti-inflammatory. It is anti-cancerous. It's anti-apoptotic. So what does that mean? Apoptosis is cell death in our body. So what it's doing is it's preventing that prematurely. So sometimes you're having cell death that you really shouldn't be having, things like that. So it's helping to support those processes and functions in our body. So it's helping to prevent some of that cell death. And it's crazy because it's used in pharmaceutical management. It's one of the main ingredients in many pharmaceutical drugs that relate to a lot of these conditions, and people don't realize that.
I love that you're using turmeric because I'm a big fan, and I know that there are over 10,000 studies showing the health benefits of turmeric. So can you talk a little bit about what some of those health studies are?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover the turmeric because it works perfectly about our discussion today. We covered our dish, and the reason for that is because turmeric, people don't realize that there's actually a process on how to prep and get the turmeric ready to really release the appropriate potency of its anti-inflammatory benefits, right? So this method is called puffing. And basically what that means is you want to cover your dish, and it has a combination of the water vaporization, which expands your water molecules, and also it has the expansion of the turmeric itself. And how do you do the puffing method? You want to cover up your food for a little bit of time, and then you want to open it up, which releases the water vapor and at the same time results in an expansion of the turmeric. And why are we doing this puffing method? Because we want to get the potency out of the anti-inflammatory benefits of the turmeric. And people don't realize that that is actually a step that is in research. And, again, we can provide all these research articles to our viewers, but it is in research about this method and how you're getting a greater benefit of the turmeric when you're prepping it this way.
that's so cool. Okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. So would
Yeah.
it be something that you would do with all of the, like all different spices, or is it specifically turmeric?
Well, the research shows specifically for turmeric, but of course, if we went into, the studies and took a look and viewed this puffing method to see how it incorporates into other ingredients and dishes, it would be really interesting, actually, a really interesting read and research to look up. So yeah, maybe one day we can take a look at that.
I love it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how long do you leave it? How long do you leave it to puff, basically? So is it
Yeah,
like 5 minutes or?
Sure. 5 minutes would be reasonable because you want to get to that water vapor stage. And as long as your pan is hot, any water that's in your dish is going to start to evaporate. The concept of it is you want to pressurize the water and you want to pressurize the turmeric, and then you release the pressure. And that's when you get the expansion. So that's the main process of why we're doing this.
Got it.
So yeah, so actually we're pretty good here on the steps. I want to move over to the our chicken. I'm going to leave this just on low, just covered up, and it's fine. As long as you have it really low, or you can take it off the heat. Your viewers can choose how to do that. That's no issue. So I'm just going to keep it over on the side, and then we're going to start our chicken really quick. So we've got our pan over here. So we just got our pan. I'm going to get a little bit of olive oil in here. And Andrea, just in the interest of time, I'm going to explain a little bit of prep that I did for the chicken ahead of time. So let me grab it really quick. So here we've got 1 pound of cubed chicken. I use leg and thigh. You can use breast. Anything is fine, whatever people prefer. I like it boneless because I have young children, but it can also be with bone. So there's no issue in terms of the type of chicken being used. So what we do with the chicken ahead of time is once it's washed and cleaned, we add salt. So like maybe 2 or 3 teaspoons of salt for every pound of chicken. And you want to add about 1 whole squeezed lemon, or you want to add maybe like a 1/4 cup of a good quality lemon juice. And then you leave it for, I leave it for 10 minutes. My mom, my in-laws, they leave it for 30 minutes. Working moms don't have more time than 10 minutes. And basically, you want to leave it in there with the lemon and the salt. And there's 2 reasons that we do this. Number 1, obviously having such a high salinity and a high acidic environment helps protect against any bacteria that might be in the meat. So you're really kind of killing that off by doing so much salt and so much lemon. And then you wash that out. What the salt is doing is dehydrating the chicken. When you dehydrate the chicken, it's another little, restaurant tip that you don't hear all the time, but you're dehydrating the chicken. So now when you put it into your food and you add your ingredients, it is ready to suck everything up because it's been dehydrated. So it's like, you cut into the chicken and you're like, oh my God, the flavor went all the way to the middle. It did because it was dehydrated and it needed that moisture to come in.
That is an awesome tip. I love that. I love that. You see, everybody, I love this because you are learning tips from a restaurateur, and these are things you don't hear every day. So I love that. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, as the nurse end of me, you're protecting yourself a little bit because it does have that, bacterial properties with the salt and the lemon. So 2 good steps. So we're going to go ahead and add this into just a little bit of olive oil. A couple teaspoons is fine. Again, it's 1 pound of chicken. So we're going to add that in. We're going to cook it down, and we're going to add some curry into this. And remember, when you go out to get your curry, make sure that it's an Indian curry. This is one that I make myself. Most Indians have their own version of curry. So it's, mixes of cinnamon, nutmeg, dried ginger, dried garlic, different things like that to put it together. But any basic Indian curry will be fine. So we're going to add that right now. You want to do 1 teaspoon for any store-bought that you have to every pound. So we've got that here. It's really beautiful. And you can see the yellow because it also has turmeric in there. So just going to add that in. That's the only ingredient that you need in there. The turmeric already has, it's sizzling. The turmeric already has salt. The curry already has salt in there. And we also salted it earlier. Although we did wash it out, a little bit of that remains. So you don't need anything else but the teaspoon of curry powder.
Firdos, can we use something else? Let's say if we don't eat chicken, can we use tofu, beef, turkey? Can we substitute it for something else?
Yeah, absolutely. Any of those meats that you just mentioned would work just fine in this dish. I always recommend doing that lemon and salt step with any meat that you do. All of that is for the same reasons that we discussed for the chicken, the benefits of the bacterial properties, and also for the dehydration of the meat. And that includes the shrimp as well. But I also recommend, so in India, we have this it's kind of a soft cheese called paneer. And you can get this in any, Indian grocery store. You just cube it up like you would tofu. And it works actually beautiful in this dish. But again, tofu would work fine. I would recommend a firm tofu and, just kind of maybe crisping it up on the side ahead of time, like we're doing with the chicken. So don't add it into the spinach, but keep it separated and use a more firmer tofu, and that would work just fine. And then Andrea, there was one step that I missed on our spinach. Can I show the viewers real quick?
Okay. Please, yes, go ahead.
Covered spinach here. I'm going to open it up. And so we're going to add a little bit of cumin powder, which is this, half teaspoon, or even a teaspoon would be fine of cumin powder, a teaspoon of coriander powder. So coriander is the seeds of cilantro. And then we're going to add just a little half teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to mix that in, and our spinach is going on low, so we can just go ahead and let that work in there. So for the viewers, when you're doing it, go ahead and add it in when you're cooking your ginger and garlic and your tomatoes, so we can have it all cooked down really nice. So I'm just going to stir that in. I'm going to stir it in and leave it on low, and then we'll get back to our chicken. Okay, so I'm just going to let that simmer. And here's our chicken that we were working on. So it's getting nice and browned, but I do have a little bit ready for us ahead of time. So I'm going to grab that one. So we have our chicken here, and this is all nice and cooked and ready to go. So actually what I wanted to do is show you the next step, which is the smoking step. It's really cool. And just go ahead and plate our dish. And then that's how, after you plate your dish, then you're going to go ahead and do the smoking step. So let me get that started. I'm going to put this on the side. I'm going to go ahead and take our spinach out. I'm going to put it in a bowl for us, because you have to have it ready in whatever utensil that you're going to serve it in. So that's an important step to make sure. So what I've got here, Andrea, is just natural coals. I want to pick them up. So we've got some natural coals here. Just 2 little pieces is fine for one dish. And you want to put it right on the fire. Can you hear me okay with the flames high up like this? Perfect. So you want to use the spatula because it's going to get hot. So here's our coal. So you want to get it really, and I'll show you once we get to that step what it looks like. I'll lift it up so the viewers can see, but you really want to get it to that phase like if you were going to be grilling. And it does pop, and it does, you just want to be careful when you're doing this step. Don't have kids around your basics on kitchen cooking. Do you know what ghee is? It's a type of, like a clarified butter. Yeah. So you can get clarified butter is really perfect with this dish. It is what's recommended, but you can use regular butter. If you don't have clarified butter, you can also use a little bit of olive oil. So any of those things are good, but I would recommend ghee first. And if you don't have ghee, then a regular butter would be fine, but not like margarine. So what I mean to say is it should be proper butter. Right. So we want to get like a tablespoon of that. And you want to get something that's safe that you can put. So I use metal. Okay. I'm sure glass would be okay too, because remember the coals are hot. We're going to be putting them in here along with the butter or the ghee or the olive oil. So you want to use something, you want to have some kind of a vessel that's safe in order to put hot coals inside. Got it. So now this dish, I would think would taste just as delicious without it being smoked than with being smoked. So if somebody decides to skip this step, that's perfectly fine, right? Absolutely. Absolutely fine. So if you can see how it's getting to that phase where it's starting to turn blue and purple a little bit. Can you see that better? Yeah. So just need another second longer. So I'm gonna get my tablespoon of ghee here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my vessel. Okay, So we're gonna go ahead and plate our spinach, because remember, you wanna have it ready into whatever serving dish you're gonna use. We're gonna add our cooked chicken on top of the spinach. And I'll lift this up so you guys can see real quick. So here we have our plated spinach and our chicken, right? And then we've got our vessel with the ghee in there, but again, butter will work just fine. So I'm just gonna set it somewhere near the dish. Make sure it's a washed vessel, because you're gonna put it on top of your cooked food.
Right. So you kind of put it with the food itself.
With the food itself.
Okay.
And then you want to get a lid that fits nicely over whatever dish that you're using. So I've already measured mine, so this works perfectly for this dish. So this is the lid I'm going to be using. So we've got our coal ready to go. Gonna put it in.
So you're putting it into the stainless steel bowl that you showed us, that metal bowl with the ghee.
With the ghee, correct. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in there, and then you can already see.
It's smoking. Yes.
You see that?
Wow, that is so cool.
And you just want to leave it in there. Some people leave it in there until the smoke is completely gone.
Okay.
Most Indian people, my husband included, would prefer it to leave it covered up until the smoke is completely gone. For me, interest of time, I'll just take this straight to the dining table. Once the kids get their plates and drinks and whatever, we just uncover and eat it. There might still be a little smoky in there, and it's kind of fun for them anyway. So yeah, but you can either wait for the smoke to be completely gone and then open it up, or you can just get going, you know, working moms. So yeah, so pretty much that's the dish. May I go ahead and open it to show the viewers?
Yes, please.
And you guys, I wish there was smell-o-vision, because the smell is so absolutely amazing right now. Like, it's like making your mouth water. This is so delicious. You guys are gonna love this dish, absolutely. And it's nutritious, it's healthy. You know, it gets all the elements that we've talked about. So you know that you're serving something good to your family, but at the same time, you know, there's a little fun, a little excitement in there, and that smokiness is just really fun, and it's just a nice tasting flavor to have. But again, the dish itself is delicious without the smoke. So absolutely, you know, preference of any of the viewers is fine. So here we go. We're just gonna open that up.
Wow.
And there you have it.
Oh.
See that? And I know, and it smells so good, Andrea. I wish your viewers could smell this. It's just fabulous. And
absolutely,
you know, you can eat this with naan bread, tortillas, over rice, noodles, with potatoes. You know, so whatever staple that you have on the side. If you're doing keto, if you're doing anti-inflammation, then you're gonna just stick to this by itself. If you're doing, you know, with ketosis, you know, you can do a little bit of like steamed cauliflower to go along with it. So you're staying in your keto phase if you're doing keto dieting, you know, and things like that. So, you know, it's very versatile in terms of the different diets. It's perfect for diabetics, you know, no issues there. There's no sugars or any carbohydrate compounds that we've used. So, you know, it's really versatile for a lot of different ways. And it can be eaten in all different ways. You can wrap it up in a tortilla. So however you want, it's pretty versatile. You can shove it into sandwiches for the kids, so they're having something really good, flavorful. My kids love their lunches because, you know, they're getting all of these things in there. So they've got some protein, some veggies, and it's delicious.
Firdos, thank you so much. I just have one quick question. Since on Morphus, we talk about perimenopause and menopause. Some of these spices that you use today, what are some benefits for women who are in perimenopause and menopause?
So absolutely. So when you're in those phases, some of the concerns that you want to think about is the lower levels of estrogen. That's why a lot of people will go on hormone therapy once they're in menopause or they're in premenopause. Primary reason that we're doing those hormone therapies is because of the cardiovascular health. So women, while we're still not in the menopause stage, we have a lot more cardiovascular benefits that, you know, men don't have. That's why you're seeing more heart attacks in men than you will in women. But once you pass that stage, that difference between men and women basically normalizes, and it's very close to being very similar. And that's reason is because you're losing that benefit. And so with the ingredients that we use today, many of them have cardiovascular benefits. And so having the ingredients in your dish daily, like it's that concept that we talked about, you're putting it in and protecting yourself ahead of time before you get those ailments and those conditions. So if you're using the garlic, is using the turmeric, all of these anti-inflammatory properties, antibacterial properties, you're really prepping your body to be more strengthened against a lot of these different ailments that you'll be getting. And women have to worry about the cardiovascular concerns, and that's why these the ingredients that we use today, specifically the garlic as well, has great cardiovascular benefits. So that's one of the things that will really help people that are premenopause or menopause. Yeah.
Well, Firdos, thank you so much for being on our show today, and I appreciate you showing us how to cook this amazing, delicious dish. What's the name of your YouTube channel so people can follow you? And by the way, we will post a link below to Firdos' channel so you can subscribe to her channel. Please do. Let's support her, and we're very excited for you and your journey on YouTube, because I think you're going to do amazing because your food looks delicious.
Thank you. So my channel is called Shake the Kitchen. I'm Firdos Shaikh, and we're shaking things up in the kitchen because you are learning things about foods, about restaurant tips that you would not find anywhere else. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you so much, Firdos, for doing our video today. And thank you to all of you who watched it. And I hope you got something out of it the way I did. It looks delicious. And if you liked what you saw today, please give us a big like, and please hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time we have a new Morphus video. And please share it, because the more you share shows you care. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay well. We'll see you next time.